Hey, friend, welcome back. It is Dolly, your workforce diplomat here. Today, we're going to talk about resume basics. We're going to build a foundation to help you and empower you and educate you to stand out from the rest. There are little simple tweaks to this, and I want to build the foundation and the philosophy of why resumes are even a thing. So, with that, I'm going to share my screen because I wanted to provide a slide deck for you. Give me a second, pulling up the details. Why isn't this working? All right. So I am going in and presenting. All right. So resume basics. We're going to cover what is a resume, what's the resume format that I recommend, and then the content and common mistakes that I see as a recruiter who's worked in the industry for 10 plus years. So with that, resume. I want you, and this is where the philosophy comes in. I want you to think of your resume as a brag sheet. Similar to, back in the day, there were baseball trading cards and they had the stats of who's this person, where they played and what their stats were. I want you to think of your resume as you know, your brag sheet. What's your stats? Your trading card, if you will. So with that, why even use a resume? What is the whole point, especially the role that it plays into the recruitment process? For big companies and for sophisticated companies that have automation in play, resumes is used by the robots and the humans to filter out people. So resume is a tool to shortlist people, especially when applications are receiving 100 plus applicants at a time. So the robots will use your resume to look for the keywords that the human made it to look for. So say, for example, we're looking for somebody that is a bank teller, that has customer service experience, that has money handling experience, that has, and this is just off the top of my head, but the robot is searching for keywords that pertain to customer service related, and money handling. If you don't have these keywords in place in your resume, the robot kind of just automatically disqualifies you. I don't know if you've received application like, sorry, you didn't make the cut, after like 24 hours of you applying. That's typically the robot kicking you out of it, to the curb. The next one would be the humans. Humans use your resume not only to see if you align to the work that they're looking for, but honestly, it's a method to check off a box. Does your stat sheet impress them enough to want to talk to you? So that's that perspective. Another thing is, because there's an influx of everybody looking for either the cool jobs or the jobs that pay the most or yada, 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 there's a big influx in applicants. So with that, as a person that has sat in the recruiter seat, if the goal is for me to find and start interviewing people within a week, maybe two of me posting the job, I'm going to filter through all of the applicants in a very short amount of time. So I'm typically looking at the resume with a 5-second scan. So your resume needs to stand out in a way that when I'm scanning your resume, things are popping out effortlessly for the recruiter to want to talk to you. So recruiters, you want to make the recruiter's job easier to find you. So this is why the resume is important. Another thing is, think of the resume as your golden ticket to interview. If you manage to impress the recruiter with your resume, then you're more than likely, your chances of getting a call are so much greater. All right, moving on. This is, in terms of resume format, there are many templates out online. There are fancy ones, there are boring ones, so many. As a recruiter, from a recruiter perspective, I'm your workforce diplomat. So I'm here to help you help yourself to get to the job and get to the money and the job quicker. So with that, here are the resume must-haves. These are my top 3. When you're looking at the resume or the job posting, you want to identify not only the keywords, but the key experiences, like the required stuff that they're looking for. You need to make sure that you have them all. So there are common like objective statements that are at the top of the resume, but I want you to think of what is the summary of experience that you have, your qualification summary, if you will. This should be, no more than 6 lines long, but the more concise you are, the better. 2 to 3 sentences, and it needs to be summarizing your experience as it pertains to the job you're applying for. So what does that mean? If they're looking for someone, let's go back to the bank teller example. If they're looking for someone that has customer service experience, at least 3 years of customer service experience, that has money handling experience, and can handle under pressure scenarios, I would almost think that if I worked for McDonald's, or if I worked for a waitress gig, if I worked as a babysitter, all of those experiences mean something. I can put that on there. So I would say, if they're looking for that, 3 years of experience, no education necessarily required, but customer service and money handling experience, then I'm going to say that in my qualification summary, in my experience summary. I'm going to say charismatic, professional, with 3+ years of experience, experience in customer service and money handling. I'm going to say that off the bat, so that when the recruiter is looking at it, they'd be like, yes, she has the minimum required. She has the required requirements that I need for this job. Let me read more, right? And if you can hit other things, you're winning. You're moving on. How to boost yourself into the next stage. All right. So not only is the qualification summary important, your work experience section has to match what you said that you got. So the experience that you have. So obviously we're going to list it in the chronological. There is a functional resume opportunity option to do, but focusing on the chronological, that you are looking for a job with skills that you already have. So you want to highlight each of the bullet points with accomplishments. Again, the resume is your brag sheet. So if you have experience in customer service, tell me how. Give that quantifiably. How did you do your job? Don't tell me what your job was, because as a recruiter, I know what a waitress does, or a cashier does at a fast food restaurant, or as a person working at my church, handling the cafe. Tell me what specifically within what you do in the job that was so impressive. Say, you know, handled, executed, or I don't know, just throwing stuff out there as far as like in working in high pressure scenarios, minimal errors, under 5% errors during the lunch rush, or, serviced, over 100 clients with a smile, answered the phones, to schedule reservations for a highly sought after restaurant. I don't know, just giving stats that have numbers and quantifiable information in them. They will help you stand out from the bunch, because you just telling me what you do for work. Like, I can Google what somebody else in the position that you do. Just tell me how you did it and did it well. Not to harp on that, let's move on to the next thing. The next thing is education. This is like the tricky thing. I always want you to put education, because the bare minimum of education is high school. You're finishing high school. But with any extra education in, college, or you in pursuit of doing your college, or you completing a certification or a training, I want that information on there, especially if it's related to the job that you're applying for. The placement of where the education is depends on what we want to highlight. If you're a recent graduate and you're putting in your qualification summary, recent graduate, then your education, move it to the top. But if you've been working for 5 to 10 years, then your education should be more towards the bottom, because we want to highlight your work experience. With that, these are the must-haves as far as what goes into your resume. Next here is resume content. Again, not to harp on this, but this is what really, really makes people stand out, especially when the recruiters are doing their 5-second scan. You want to provide a highlight reel of your work performance. What are those stats? Qualifying information of what you did at work. Don't tell me what skills or characteristics that are needed to do the job. It's what did you do, highlighting your skills, your unique characteristics for doing that job. Again, you are uniquely qualified, and it's up to you to relay that information. Next is common mistakes that I see. In this picture, you can kind of see the fancy formatting. The fancy formatting templates, robots can't necessarily read it. If we think of the robot, it's zeros and O's, X's, XOs, XO, ones and zeros. And obviously you can tell I'm not a tech coder, but the robots, the applicant tracking systems don't know how to read the weird formatting. So you want your resume to be from top down, rather than having like a column over here and a column over there and a picture and a this and a that. Boring formats for the robot to process. Another common mistake is introducing or inviting discrimination or unconscious biases. You are willingly putting that information in. Just in the state that we are, in the state of DEI, whether it's a good thing or a not so great thing, there are laws that employers cannot discriminate an applicant or an employee against. So common discrimination factors by law is age, race, sexual preference, disability. I'm blanking here, but those are the common ones that people can unconsciously out themselves on a resume. So avoiding a picture can obviously give unconscious bias for race or age. Then we have, colors on a resume. Keep it black and white. Again, boring, simple, because you don't want to necessarily out yourself on the gender if there are people that prefer male over female or female over male. Just remove the invitation of discrimination. Another thing is, I want you to be in the driver's seat here. When companies post a job, they need you more than you need them. So I want you to take the empowerment of like, hey, I'm putting in my name for you to hire me, rather than I'm dropping this in a bucket just in case you want to hire me or not. No, your resume is specifically geared to showcase that that you can do this job, and you're relaying that same information that you can do this job based off of your brag sheet. So yeah, so you're in the driver's seat, and just you're in the driver's seat. You're in the driver's seat. So people, and I only say this because there can sometimes be some language, especially in the qualification summary, that sounds either desperate or almost like you don't feel like you're qualified for the role. I want you to highlight the things that you know you're qualified for, rather than saying, "Oh, I have this, but I don't have that." There's different energies as it pertains to that. That's a common mistake that I see, that people are not standing in their power when handed in their brag sheet. There are a lot of rules in terms of whether your resume should be 1 page or 2 page. I would say if you have 5 or more years of experience, your page needs to at least be floating into the second page, because a 1 page is hard to do, especially if you have the format of the qualification summary, your work experience, education, and any kind of skills that you're highlighting, aka the keywords that you're putting out there. So 1 page sometimes is not enough, but if you don't have a lot of experience, then yes, 1 page. At least try to fill the page. Obviously, no filler words or I statements like "I did XYZ." Those are common mistakes that I see. Another common mistakes is, again, those bullet points, they're not quantifying what you did in the job. So you're leaving a lot of potential kudo points for yourself as it pertains to the recruiter reviewing your resume. All right, that's basically it. I want to kind of do an exercise. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to do an exercise where I show you one of my previous clients' resume. I've redacted her information. Let's see here. All right. So here is one of my clients' resume. And as you can see, her personal information would have been here, work experience, and education and skills. This particular client of mine had a lot of work experience, and a lot of good work experience that is beyond being an assistant role. I'm thinking manager, I'm thinking, you know, case manager, that information. But she didn't necessarily have the qualifications or the education to do these things. She just had a lot of experience for it. And that's okay. Um, the way in which we formatted her resume, moving here, is that her new resume is that we provided a summary. I tell her that she needs to change the summary statement based off of the job post that she is doing. So, to give an example, a charismatic professional with 10 plus years of experience working in customer and client facing roles, experience in office management, resource allocation, yada, yada, yada. And then she would highlight expertise in whatever the job is seeking specifically. In terms of how we reorganized her resume, was we're highlighting the skills, number one, for the robot to see all of the keywords. We're putting it up in the forefront. Then we're putting in the work experience, highlighting metrics wherever we can. So a small team of how many? 15. Doing performance evaluations, interviewing, and onboarding of how many people? 10 to 15 employees. Managing a caseload of how many? 25. So again, this is just providing stats and information, number quantification wherever we can. And then towards the end, we're putting in education and qualifications, if you will. So with that, um, that was a quick view, but can you see where the difference of this from this is? If I'm the recruiter hiring her for a job, then she's giving me the key points of what I'm looking for. How many years of experience? Oh, you meet that qualification, 10 years of experience. Oh, you have been working in customer service, client facing. That's great. And here are the skills that I need for the job. Yes, yes. Let me move, at least read the first job. If it matches for what I'm looking for, then 5-second scan, I'm gonna call her for an interview. So again, I want to empower you to get in the driver's seat. You know, again, DEC Impact Hub is mission is to empower those job seekers to become drivers of their career. And sometimes you just need strategy. Sometimes you actually need career planning, but it is up to you to set yourself apart. So with that, any questions? With that, I leave you with, if you found value, please provide some feedback. If you think that this information is valuable and someone else needs it, please pay it forward and share it with someone. Again, the goal here is to fuel your ambition and forge new opportunities. So I will check you in another video. Deuces.